Welcome to Larp Academia. Today we are going to talk about the basics of classes and how they work. The first thing that you need to know about classes is that there are different levels that you have. As you might already know, there are levels 1 through level 6. In order to get from level 1 to level 6, you need to get credits. How you would do that is you go to your park and you sign in saying, I'm playing this class today. It is easier to level from level 1 to level 2, a little bit harder from 2 to 3, and so on, making 5 to 6 an extremely difficult leveling process. The next thing that you need to know about classes is that they have their own abilities. Now, some abilities may overlap and some abilities are specific to their own classes, but there are two things you need to know about abilities. Abilities that have a T next to them are a trait. They stay on you permanently. The next thing you need to know about abilities is that for martial classes, if they have an X next to them, then they are extraordinary. This means three things. 1, they are not magical. So any abilities that would render someone immune to a magical effect does not affect an extraordinary ability. For example, if someone had protection from magic and they were affected by an extraordinary ability such as heal, then that person can be healed. Another thing that you have to understand about extraordinary abilities is that while usually martial class exclusive, they let you cast these abilities while having a weapon or a shield in both hands. You do not need an open hand for these abilities. The last thing that you need to know about extraordinary abilities is that they do not count towards your enchantment limit. Each class has the ability to carry one enchantment on them. They cannot carry any more. Extraordinary abilities do not count towards this limit, so you can stack and stack and stack to have 5 or 6 extraordinary abilities if possible. So if an extraordinary ability is an enchantment, it won't hinder you on taking enchantments from others. Now, on to the next part. Another thing that separates classes from each other is that certain classes can use certain weapons. Now, under the class title, there will be a subsection. This subsection will contain an area dedicated to weapons. This will show you what weapons you can wield. It could say that you could wield a dagger and a bow or whatever else. Obviously, you might find things that differ a little bit from what you were expecting. A warrior might be able to use javelins, but they may not be able to use throwing weapons, or a bow, because they're meant to be more on the front and be tanks. While an archer is able to use a bow, but is not able to use a shield, because they're meant to be hidden from enemies by their own teammates. Similarly, underneath the weapon section is the armor category. Now, the armor category tells you how much armor a person can wear. This is how much armor they can wear up to. You are able to go out on the battlefield and wear 0 points of armor, like I am wearing now. It's great, free. But if you want to wear up to your class maximum, you will then have to actually craft and construct your own armor in order to get up to that point maximum. But if you want, you can always buy your armor. Look the part is if you look a little bit like the class you are portraying, or for some parks if you have garb. It differs from park to park. But look the part will give you an extra ability that is core to your class. So for example, an archer may gain an extra specialty arrow, while a barbarian gains the ability to get an extra enchantment of blood and thunder. And we'll go over these abilities in certain class videos. But look the part is an optional thing that will give you a bonus to your class. The next part of any class is a sash. Now, I'm not wearing a sash currently, but for each class video, we will be wearing a sash that denotes that class. Each sash should be worn from shoulder to hip, and it should be about 2.5 inches wide. The color of each sash will denote what class you are. So if someone's wearing a purple sash, you know that they are a warrior. If someone is wearing a blue sash, you know that they are a bard. Now that you know what class a person is, you need to understand what per life and per refresh means for your abilities. Per life abilities means that they come back to you every time that you come back to life or when you start the game. These abilities do not come back to you when you are resurrected by another person, normally by a healer or by a monk. Now, per refresh abilities are those that are only used a few times during the game because they are far more powerful than per lives. These per refresh abilities might only be usable once per game. So when you get your per refresh abilities and when you use them, always think carefully on how you implement these abilities. Now, I know we haven't covered magic classes, but we'll cover them in a later video because they're pretty complex. And remember, if you like the video, hit that like button and subscribe if you want to stay informed about Amtgard content and learn more about LARPing in general.